Hey guys, Rob from Simcom here, known on some forums as Tech113, and I'm going to be installing OPNsense, a FreeBSD-based firewall from start to finish, and this is my first time installing it, so I'm going to give a little bit of a review too. I'm installing it on this test machine, which is a Lenovo ThinkServer TS200V, and it's got a 4-port Intel Gigabit Ethernet card, as well as the onboard card, so I have 5 ports to play with. I'm using Ventoy as the USB boot solution. It works well with ISO images. So what you want to do is head on over to OPNsense.org, click the download OPNsense button, and choose your architecture, your image type, and your mirror. So I'm using the ISO installer image. And you want to choose the closest mirror to your location, and then click the download OPNsense button. And wait a few minutes, you should have a OPNsense DVD ISO.bz2. So it's compressed. You're going to need something like 7-zip to uncompress that file, and you'll notice it'll go from a half a gig file to approximately 2 gigs. Now if you're using Ventoy, that's no problem. You simply install Ventoy to your USB key, it'll format it, it'll present it to you as a drive letter. In my case, it presented as E, and you simply copy your ISO file over to your Ventoy drive. Plug it into your system, boot it up, make sure it boots from the USB key, not from the hard drive, and you're presented with an OPNsense installer. Now this looks familiar. Looks a little bit like a FreeBSD installer. I like it. And so far, so good, no problems. It looks like you can interrupt and have a configuration importer, I suppose if you're restoring a system, and a spot where you can manually assign your interfaces. I just let it go with the defaults. Everything went smooth, no problems at all. Easy install. Now one thing that's interesting is that it installs into a live mode from the install media. So it's not installed to the hard drive. What you have to do here is log in as installer. So if you log in as installer with the default password, which is OPNsense, all lowercase, OPNsense, it brings you into the FreeBSD installer, then the OPNsense installer. And from here you can choose your file system, UFS or ZFS or ZFS if you're in the States. And I chose ZFS or ZFS, and I only have one hard drive, so no mirroring for me, just striped. And this will wipe out your hard drive, so you want to make sure you're using a system that you are comfortable with wiping out the operating system if it has an operating system on it. So this will clone your live OPNsense system to the hard drive, and you get to change the password, reboot, and remove the USB key, and it'll boot from the hard drive, which is what it is doing right now. Beautiful. So the firewall is up, and it should have given, as it did, IP addresses from my Edge firewall, as this is in my little lab environment, and it assigned an IP from the DHCP server to my little test machine here. So from here, I'll be able to log into 192.168.1.1, which is the default IP for the firewall. And of course, it's a self-signed certificate, so you'll have to accept the risks and continue. And from here, you can log in as root and whatever password you assigned in the previous step. So now we get to do the initial configuration, and it presents you with a general setup wizard. So from here, you can change things like host name, domain name, language, some DNS settings, whether or not you want the unbound DNS resolver set, time zone, time server information, time zone, and then the WAN interface. So in my case, it's DHCP, but if you're a static IP or PPPoE or PPTP, you can change those settings there. And then the LAN settings, I left everything as default, 192.168.1.1 with a /24. But if you were wanting a class A, you could use a 10. So that was very smooth, straightforward, no problems. Let's check for updates. And there's updates. Oh, hi. This maintenance release will also be the end of life version for the 25.1 series. Okay. Final release date of July 23rd. So in a couple days. See you on the other side. All right. Well, I'm going to have to revisit this and see how the update process goes for it. Maybe I'll make another video on how easy it is to update, 'cause so far so good. Oh, Zabbix. I like Zabbix. I use Zabbix. So lots of updates here. 113. Good number. Tech113. Let's go. So we'll update these. And a reboot will happen after. It looks like a standard package manager. If you're familiar with FreeBSD, you do a package update, package upgrade, it looks kind of like this. So that's good. That's a bit different. Critical update, do not interrupt. Okay, it was writing something there. And a reboot. No problem. So it should be fully updated, and now we should be logging in probably to the dashboard. So we log in as root, password we set, and here we go, dashboard. Nice. I like it. Some eye candy with the charts and the graphs, some statistics, some system information. I notice it's running 14.2. Okay. 14.3 is out, but maybe that'll be on the update for 25 for the next one. What was it, 25.7 or 25.5? 25.7, I believe. So one thing I didn't notice, there's no firewall rules here. I'm going to add the thermal sensors. Thermal sensors not available. Okay. With standard FreeBSD installs, I know you have to package install core temp. So I was looking for it here, but I couldn't find it. But I found a few other neat things to deal with the Intel CPU, microcode updates, and I noticed DMI decode was on here, which is cool. I use that in FreeBSD, or I use it in FreeBSD as well as OPNsense just to get system information. So that's kind of cool that it will install that. But no firewall rules on the main dashboard, and it picked up the thermal sensors. I didn't have to install the core temp package. It must have done it automatically, which is good. So that is one major difference that jumps out at me right away, is that the firewall rules aren't on the dashboard. But I see them on the left-hand side there. So it's probably... I did read something about this before installing it, that was a... I guess it was a difference. And sure enough, it's a difference. But it looks like we can add a few other firewall things here. I don't see smart data for the hard drives. It's good that there's an OpenVPN client and server connections, as that's something I have a few of out there in the wild. Some point-to-point, some offices that use OpenVPN for site-to-site, and a lot of remote workers that use OpenVPN to connect to the office. So other than that, it looks pretty good. Looks like a lot of settings are there, configuration settings. It's interesting they call it firmware. To me, firmware is something you flash to a chip, not necessarily software on a system, but a lot of settings that you can do, a lot of logging, which is good. Tunables, miscellaneous. It looks like everything and maybe more, or maybe a few different things. I noticed no PF blocker next gen here. But that's probably not a deal breaker. I do have it out. I have it on a few client machines on OPNsense for GeoIP based blocking. I'll have to look into seeing if you can do GeoIP based blocking with OPNsense. That's kind of cool. With device interface assignments, I am seeing green probably meaning link status is up and red meaning no link. I don't have anything else plugged in except for those two. So that's kind of what that'd be neat at a glance. And if you're doing things blind, unplugging and plugging in and look at the screen and see which are connected, which are not. Some wireless settings. I don't generally use wireless right on the machine. One thing I noticed here is I couldn't ping more than one packet. Unless it's a setting that I was missing or something. This was interesting. I realized, oh, geez, I'm connecting to TCP, or to DNS over TCP. But sure enough, it worked. It fell back to TCP on Cloudflares, so that was cool. Firewall shaper rules. I haven't played around too much with that even on OPNsense, the traffic shaping. Interesting log file views. It's neat to see the VPN WireGuard and OpenVPN right out of the box, so that's good. And with the DNS, I see ISC and KEA. Not sure if there's the the bugs with KEA and registering names in the DNS for resolution locally. I know ISC was working fine, but it's being phased out. But other than that, it's okay. I'm liking it. I like the eye candy. I like the smoothness of it. So the interface, from what I've read about on the forums about the interface, that's true. It is a little bit more modern looking and a little bit more responsive than PFSense. The only difference really that jumps out at me is the log or the firewall tables on the main page. Maybe that'll be in a future update. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the update, and I'm looking forward to installing this as my Edge firewall in my home office and giving it a test before I roll it out to clients. So far so good. Good job, OPNsense team. I like it. I'm looking forward to the updates. Again, this is Rob from Simcom Tech 113. That was only a half an hour's worth of fiddling around with the firewall, and all is good. So I'll look forward to talking to you guys later. Take care.